Yeah. Can You Ever Forgive Me? It's a movie about an angry 51-year-old woman and her sick cat. Very compelling subject matter. Based on a real-life woman named Lee Israel, who is a character in the New York City publishing community who turned to forgery when her professional life dried up. Amy and I are business partners, and it is the script that brought us together at Archer Gray.
We met on, which is fantastic.
Yeah, which is great, so it's nice for us to be here.
I think that the film is resonating on so many levels, first and foremost because it's just such a great film. But the performances are fantastic. But I think what we didn't expect was how incredibly important it was to deliver a film and a project that has such an authentic, real woman at the center of it. And I think people are seeing a lot of themselves in her, right? She says what's on her mind. She's filled with a lot of frustration and anger and loneliness, but the reality is she's a little piece of all of us, and that level of vulnerability and authenticity is really important right now.
So talk a little bit about your role and the dynamic that you had with Melissa. I mean, it was such a fun
we play such an odd couple, and because they were real people. That means that whatever behavior they had or eccentricities, you know that they're not invented or made up, and they have a love-hate relationship in the story that is, I suppose, like the closest equivalent I think is the classic Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon movie, The Odd Couple from 1967, that two people who shouldn't become friends do become friends.
Had you worked with Melissa before?
No, I hadn't, but I pretty much worshipped the shrine of her comic talents. And this transformation that she does here, both physically and emotionally, and the costume and hair, is extraordinary. And I hope that she gets every award that she's already been touted for coming her way. She deserves them. Oh, thank you very much. And what's extraordinary is that it is produced by majority of the producers are women, the writer is a woman, the director is a woman, the star is a woman. It's about a woman. So being in a completely female-centric environment the whole dynamic of it was incredibly collaborative. There was no testosterone flying around in any direction, no special effects. And in movies, as you know nowadays, that's a pretty unusual phenomenon to walk into. So I loved it.
And how does it feel to have the film premiere at the Toronto Film Festival?
Absolutely amazing. And we had the advantage of never having seen it with an audience before at the Telluride Festival last weekend. So seeing with an audience for the first time and hearing people really laughing, and then you could hear people crying at the end, which I could never have anticipated that would happen. So that, and people kept coming up and saying to us, we really felt about these people, we cared about these people, and it made us feel something, as though that was something unusual in the movies. So I know it touches people.
I was just saying, I feel like often female comedians are sort of underestimated for what great actors they are, and I knew Melissa to be an incredible actor, and that she could do something like this that was so vulnerable and so raw. I just had a feeling. I had already worked with Kristen Wiig in a more dramatic part, and I felt like I just had a feeling she could be really, really amazing and surprise people with what she was able to do, and she does. It was a delightful set. I like to create a place on set where actors get to feel like they're safe to do their best work, and you just hope that they all get along. And luckily Richard and Melissa became fast friends, and he would even visit on days he wasn't shooting and take her to lunch. Like, they were so cute together. And that type of chemistry you just can't help but be thrilled about as it happens, because you see it on set. On screen, they're so dynamic. It was quoted that they were like the most compelling odd couple of the year, and I was like, yeah, they are.
Yes, they are. And how does it feel to be premiering at TIFF at the Toronto?
It's incredible. It's such a wonderful, I've never gotten to have a film here. It's just such a wonderful experience, and I hope that it helps our film find its people and its audience, and it just feels exciting.
Talk about a little bit, this is obviously a more serious role for you.
For sure. It's also challenging because, you want to make sure that you do right by the person when you're playing a real person. There's an added pressure to represent appropriately. And I just found her ethic to her work and how kind of unapologetic she was. It's like, she got caught. She knew she was wrong. I know she was wrong, and yet I still loved how she stood by her work and said these were the best moments of my life, and the work was my best. Like, she just didn't bend to being polite, being the proper likable woman. She just stayed who she was, and anytime someone kind of really strongly stays in their own shoes and is the person they are, even if they're difficult and challenging, I just love that, and I think it's really important today. She passed about 2 years before I came on to it. I think it was about 2 years. But I worked with David German, who's one of our producers, knew her, and one of our producers who's championed this story for 10 years, I think. She knew Lee very well, and we met people along the way. And I did ask someone after a scene, I said, would Lee be happy about this? And someone who'd known her for a very long time said happy wasn't really Lee's thing, which made me laugh. They said that she would love the attention on her work, though. And so I love the thought of more people going out, buying her books, learning her story, and finding out about this amazing woman.
And did you know about this? Like, did the producers approach you for this, or how did that?
They did. It came to me, and I read it. And Nicole Holofcener's script was, as all of her scripts are, there's just such an economy to her writing, and it was so good that I just thought there's no version in the world where I wouldn't want to do this woman. Like, she was just riveting. And to get, there's always the hope that of course it's not becoming that person, I know that, but you do get to walk around in someone's shoes for a little bit, and I always hope that kind of makes me a little more well-rounded person. You get a different life experience, even if it's just for a few months.
So, talk a little bit about the dynamic on set. What was it like to work with Melissa and Richard? And
it's funny because we're filming these dramatic scenes or semi-dramatic scenes, but I have two of the funniest people I've ever met next to me. So they would call cut, and it was like they were doing stand-up for me personally. Something I'll never forget. I'll cherish those moments. And then coupled with that, they're just brilliant actors. So I felt nurtured, and I felt like I learned a lot working with them. I was raised by some very strong women. My mother's a police officer. I was raised by a lot of strong women. So to see women in this industry finally achieving what they should have been achieving for years is fantastic. As a minority, a Puerto Rican in my country, in America, any minority is one that I would support. And this director is amazing. Melissa's amazing. She's a force of nature, so I'm just happy to be here and be a part of it.
like on set? How was it to work with Richard and
It was really, really fun. It was really fun. They're both so generous and so easygoing and so relaxed. The same as Mari. It's a very easy, it feels like there's no nonsense. So you're just left to concentrate on trying to make this the best thing for everybody, but also for Mari. So that it was really easy. It was fun. It was relaxed. It was really lovely.
Realistic to be sort of at the helm of a bunch of women,
Yes,
women directing.
yes, and Mari is such a. I mean, if you're going to work with a female director, Mari, that feels like such a treat because she's got such a confidence and certainty, and that you feel like you're being left to do it yourself, but you're just being encouraged in a sort of gentle.
Thank you so much.
Lovely.